For the Banking Symposium. We're pleased to be here, and we're pleased to welcome now Jimmy Sawyer, chairman and co-founder, Sawyer and Jacobs, and also Joshua Jacobs, the president of Sawyer and Jacobs. Appreciate you gentlemen coming on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So is this the first time, Joshua, you've been to this event?
I've been to it several times. Jimmy's come almost every year since it started. But, yeah, it's always a great event, always a great turnout, keeps growing every year. A lot of great topics, so we definitely enjoy it.
Jimmy, the dean says it's record attendance this year, about 350.
It is. This event, it just gets bigger and better all the time, and Dr. Sawyers and Stan Viner and those guys just do a fantastic job, and it really has become a who's who of banking in Mississippi. So it's become a gathering place, and I know the football game attracts a few people the next day, but certainly they're getting a lot of good information, and there are a lot of heavy hitters in the banking industry here.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you guys work a lot with banks. Those are your primary customers, right?
We do. We're Sawyers and Jacobs, and that's SawyersJacobs.com. And we work with a lot of banks in Mississippi, but a lot of community banks across the nation on tech and cybersecurity issues. And as you know, from your background, banks are in the trust business, so we help banks protect your money and your information through whether it's cybersecurity assessments or IT audits, but making sure those controls are in place to help them take care of you.
Joshua, a breach of any significance could be devastating, really, to just the economic viability of a bank. You'd have lots of nervous customers that would perhaps be thinking about changing banks if something like that happens. So I know they're constantly worried about it. It's a 7/24, 365 situation. Your services obviously are important and valuable to them to avoid that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Banking is all about trust. We give the banks our money and entrust them with that and entrust them with the information. So probably more so than any other industry, the reputational risk of having a breach can break that trust with the customer. So, of course, that's a huge danger. And then on the bank side, the bad guys are after the money, most of the time now. Right. So while the bank is protecting the information, most of the time the bad guys are after the money one way or another, either attacking the customers of the bank or the bank directly. New school way of bank robbing, just you can do it from anywhere in the world, basically.
Yeah. And it happens continuously, right, Jimmy? I mean, this is something that, and the other thing about it is implementing a cybersecurity environment solution. You don't stop just because you've purchased the tools, you've installed them, you've implemented.
Right.
No, it's constant. It never ends.
It is. The bad guys don't sleep, and it's 24/7 around the globe, and that's one of the things, taking a more holistic view. As you said, there's not one magic bullet. There's not just one solution out there that'll protect a bank or your business. And so one of the things we look at is, we help primarily community banks, and we believe that those community banks are keeping communities in Mississippi and across the nation really alive and thriving. And so by the banks taking care of the small businesses, also the consumers, then they're really keeping those communities chugging and commerce moving. And so we see a lot of those banks helping their small businesses become better prepared when it comes to cybersecurity risk. And that's what we always encourage is certainly go to your banker and talk about, if you're small business especially, go to your banker and talk about ways you can collaborate to work together to protect your money and your information.
And with respect, Joshua, to cybersecurity, banks typically have someone on staff or multiple people on staff that handle that function for them. But it's deep, it's wide, and it's impossible to really staff up and have enough people on your payroll to handle all aspects of that, which is why you need to engage the help of experts out in the field.
Absolutely. Banks, community banks are come in all shapes and sizes. They all have different business models. Some community banks might have 30, 40, 50 employees total.
Yeah.
So you can't expect to have multiple cybersecurity staff. And then you have very large banks with entire departments that are cybersecurity.
Yeah.
The bad guys don't care. They come after you regardless. So, employing who you can internally and then entrusting your advisors, consultants, folks like us to come in and help augment that, give you expertise where you don't have time. Banks aren't in the business of cybersecurity. They're in the business of banking.
Sure.
So they'll lean on us to be the cybersecurity experts, and our advice to give them the controls to help protect their customers and the money from leaving the bank.
But the reality is that the small community banks need the same level of protection as the biggest banks.
Bad guys don't care. They'll go after a $50 million bank or a $2 billion bank.
Like Jesse James says, I rob banks because that's where the money is, I think. So,
100%.
Same sort of deal. So you service lots of banks in the state of Mississippi. I know you're out of Tennessee. Do you have sort of a regional footprint in that respect?
So, we're all over the country, as Jimmy mentioned. So, we go from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Okay.
We're out of Southwest Tennessee, so, kind of Memphis area. Firm is housed in Collierville, so we kind of joke we're North Mississippi anyways. So, we work with about a third of the banks in Mississippi. We're all over the state, been doing it for 20 years, driving down to all the banks and visiting and helping them out for a long, long time, keeping them secure. So, yeah, our footprint is really all over the country this day and age. We like to, even with technological advances, remote capabilities, we still like to get on site and see the folks.
Sure.
Talk to them, see the equipment, see the processes, everything, and do some of those reviews in person. But yeah, we know I-40 and I-55 very well coming up and down Mississippi.
And Jimmy, the customers they appreciate that sort of interpersonal relationship and that face-to-face contact, especially when you're talking about something that's this critical. They want to see that person or those people and know who's behind all that technology.
They really do, and especially, Mississippi, we're a relationship state anyway, and that's been one thing working with Mississippi banks. I've worked with them for the past 30 years, and, everywhere from Natchez to Kosciuszko to Holly Springs to Columbus and all points in between, and we've traveled the state, and again, as a customer of a bank, you trust that bank, and banks have to have trusted advisors like us that are also independent and can come in. It's no secret that banking is a heavily regulated industry, and those regulations have some teeth, and those laws like the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act and privacy, but also the regulators hold the banks to task to make sure they are engaging firms like us to come in and test their controls and make sure if they say they have these controls in place to protect customer information and customer funds, that those are actually working. And so I would encourage all your listeners out there, putting your money in a traditional community bank or regional bank in Mississippi is still the way to go. I would advise them to be a little careful with some of these fake banks we have popping up that are mainly software companies. They can't even legally call themselves banks. Yeah. So banking is alive and well in Mississippi, and you can certainly trust your local bank to put your money in there, and they'll protect your money and your information, and they take that very seriously.
So, Joshua, what we've heard from almost everybody today, a common theme has been, regulations are just out of control, and it's costing us all a lot of money, and it's just difficult to deal with. Given the outcome of the election Tuesday, you expecting to perhaps see a less restrictive regulatory environment?
It's possible. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen until the new administration comes in and makes those policies. There's a lot of speculation. We work with what's out there. So what's going to come, everyone can speculate, but we have to deal with 5,000 plus pages of regulatory requirements that exist now and help banks to comply with those, because, banking is tough. They're helping everyone in Mississippi out, keeping your information safe, your money safe, but they've got to keep it secure. They've got to deal with the compliance requirements, all still while we're in
trying to be in the banking business,
be in a banking business and run a business. So it's a tough task to do, but a lot of great bankers here, representing community banks in Mississippi and doing a great job with it.
Yeah, well, we had Gordon Fellows, president of the Mississippi Banking Association, Bankers Association, on earlier, and he reported that the industry is strong in the state of Mississippi.
It definitely is. And I've got to say, innovation always outpaces regulation by at least 2 years. So even, especially in the area of cybersecurity, a lot of times the regulations are a little bit behind the real world and what the bad guys are doing. I've been lucky to be on the faculty here at the Mississippi School of Banking at Ole Miss for 15 years, teaching the technology, payments, and cybersecurity course, and I teach the bankers and those future leaders in community banks. So, I always want to applaud the school here and what Dr. Sawyers and the folks do, because they are equipping these bankers, present and future, with the information they need to run a service business that balances that risk-reward proposition. And another thing we always say is, you can't lock the bank down so tightly that no one wants to work there and do business with you. You are a service business, not a nuclear facility. So,
good point.
So striking that balance is important, and that's where I believe we help banks in that area quite well, and have for a long time, and looking forward to helping a lot of Mississippi banks for many years to come.
Sounds great. Appreciate you guys coming on, Joshua Jacobs and Jimmy Sawyers with Sawyers and Jacobs LLC. They're in the innovation, risk management, cybersecurity technology business. Appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break right now. When we return, it's Stacy Brantley, president of the Citizens Bank.